To remind you guys again, this is before the patch of ETC, so ETC will be very highly prioritized with his trait with the speed, attack speed bonus. And also we saw from yesterday from MVP Black, Li Ming, and Zeratul. The Skunk, if you keep on watching HGC Korea, you will find this pattern of what they really highly prioritize on these certain battlegrounds.
Yep. Just want to point out, if you want to look at the difference in these two teams mechanically, the KDAs of L5 are more than triple on average above Mighty. So they are a mechanical god tier team. Mighty is on their way up, I would say, in terms of skill, and they've looked really, really good. Didn't make it to Eastern Clash, but they were close. Unfortunately, though, they're the underdogs here. No matter how much they've improved, and have to show it today as we go into this first map. Li Ming has been the key hero for this map, I feel, in most scenarios that we don't have the Vala Trinity. So with Zarya and Vala removed now, we might even see SDE pick up the Li Ming immediately. It's the only map where you really see Li Ming go this highly.
Yeah, we saw this Vala ban again yesterday. Instead of banning Zarya, Tastar, and everything that shields around Vala, why not just ban Vala and go a long way around it instead?
Especially if you are confident against Task Tracer, which we've seen fail more often than succeed on this map. With a few exceptions to the map we saw it yesterday go horribly wrong against MVP Miracle.
Yeah, with Tastar on Mighty side now, L5 can just easily take Malfurion with whatever else they want to ETC.
They may just take Malfurion ETC, save the Li Ming pick for a bit later. No, it's going to take Li Ming first and Muradin actually, so not really as concerned about the ETC pickup here. You don't need him for Li Ming, because even if Li Ming's attack speed gets buffed by Rockstar, she basically just heals the Immortals with her auto attack, so that's what it feels like.
Well, but Muradin comes along here as Noblesse is the man with the Candy King.
Well, we'll see if Mighty commits the Tracer in this part of the draft. If they don't, it will likely be banned against them. Alternatively, we could see an unusual melee pick coming out here. This could be an Illidan draft. If they grab Illidan Tyrael, that would be totally unexpected. That would be something you would see in the past.
Likely they will hide it until the last pick, but Greymane is also an option.
Yes.
As Greymane was one of the stronger picks before.
They're going to have to make the decision here, and it'll be obvious based on what they choose how they're going to go about this. Okay, this is just going to be the Tracer comp. Now, in the past, we've seen this composition played on this map. Good defensive play has normally just been enough to stop the Tracer in her tracks, prevent those pulse bombs from going off. Good positioning with tanks seemed to be the key, as we saw yesterday. Most of the pulse bombs absorbed by Artanis. And simply, Tracer could not get the picks that she wanted. Sway laughing. Like, oh, you want me to polymorph Tracer? He's like, I know I'm going to Brightwing, but I don't know about that, guys.
Well, Malfurion is already taken on Mighty's side, so they're probably thinking about banning solid tanky warrior. Arthas is still out there.
Arthas
has not been chosen.
If I remember correctly, it was Arthas and Artanis together that went against the Tracer, so the move speed slows on his E. The Howling Blast potential to grab a Tracer, very difficult to pull off, but can work, and if it does, it's a dead Tracer every time. Going to be the ETC ban. No surprise here, as Mighty does not have their warrior, and as you mentioned, the Rockstar passive still going to be really good here for Mighty, especially with Tassadar's Archon later on. The auto attacks there are really, really tough, even with a slight damage reduction. That's very impactful in a team fight. The ban here from Mighty is a tough one. They could go down the Tychus route just to, you know, stop all that extra range damage. That's the safest pick. Wow, the Greymane highlight. This is not something we normally see paired with Li Ming, but it does. I like this a lot more. The Arthas is such a great ban here. Really limits what Tracer can do. Limits the, you know, attack speed, the movement of Tracer.
Also blocking that CC from Howling Blast. After the quest finishes, the trail also roots everything on the way. So very good ban coming out from Mighty, really thoughtful. And Tracer really has to be careful with that CC, because caught by one, we saw lots of Tracer just falling off of BOE yesterday. So maybe less likely this time when Arthas is banned. Now L5 has a choice of picking a support and their other possibly melee attack, or just they can just go around and pick Sergeant Hammer, or there we go.
Okay, it's going to be Hammer with the Tyrael. The reason they grab the Tyrael here is for the protection. His spell damage reduction is going to be totally useless here against everything Tracer throws at them. I mean, sure, it'll help against Moonburn or Moonfire and Psystorm, but for the draft so far, it's not going to be too helpful. It's just about saving Sergeant Hammer, having those big fights where Hammer can get the extra auto attacks in the team fight. Muradin surviving longer to get his heal back up, getting his Avatar. So Tyrael's still a strong pick, just not as strong as he used to be in terms of health against any comp. He's not as all-around. He's more focused on the mage damage, but even with the health reduction, he's still useful here. You know, others joke that he dies faster, so his trait gets more value. It's a buff to his trait, but for Mighty, they're considering a swap-up of the comp here. Are they going to go solo damage Tracer, or are they going to add in some sort of AP damage? The AP damage seems less likely because of the Tyrael on the other side. But we're going to pick up a tank. The question is which one. Might be the Johanna coming out here. Wait until the last second on these lock-ins. It's going to be Artanis and a Nubarak. So going to be a lot of protection for that Tracer. I like the Artanis pick specifically against the Sergeant Hammer.
And also, with amateur opponent, you can race for that Immortal.
Yes.
So it's a double reason to pick Artanis. And Lucio coming for Swoy. There we go. No cleanse, but works for Swoy.
There's a lot of different CCs on the side of Mighty, so this is a bit worrisome. Notably the Root, the swaps, and Anubarak's insane amount of lockdown you can have up at the front lines. Anubarak is going to be playing the role of catching the magic missiles and the orbs, so they're limiting Li Ming's power on this map in terms of poke. All that L5 is looking to do is to win the initial exchange and then poke down the Immortals, forcing Mighty to engage. But that's where Nubarak comes in, so a good choice here for Mighty. But the Task Tracer hasn't worked on this map so far. We'll see if today changes that as we go into game number 1. Here we go. Team Mighty in blue. Joker on the Anubarak. Sands on Artanis. Magi on Tastar. Nasong on Malfurion. And SDE on Tracer.
In red, L5, SC on Li Ming. Nachojin on Sergeant Hammer. Jungha on Tyrael. Noblesse on Muradin. And Swoy on Lucio.
SDE has played one career game of Tracer. This is going to be his second. He did win that previous game. See, Swoy is going to super aggressively position himself. He did upgrade his wall right at level 1. Nitrogen is working on the structures here. He's harassed a little bit by the Tracer, but nothing too significant coming out. It's going to be the solo lane between Sands and Jungha in top. So a favorable matchup for Tyrael. Swoy looking for the push here of Joker. Already getting a lot of heals. He's trying to be mana efficient. We push Nasang down in his mana pool in this exchange. There's a lot of CC, like we mentioned, for Mighty, so even though they have Sergeant Hammer, they don't have a ton of wave clear beyond that, and they just have to be a little bit passive. Surprised to see Nitrogen going for the aggressive rotation up here, but he is going to do it. For the pick onto Artanis. He's down to half health, and Sands is going to try to turn this around. Nearly gets the kill on the Nacho. I don't know if he got the swap or not. I have to imagine yes.
Those team compositions are really looking for that long Immortal fight. It feels like this game is not going to be a short one for sure. As some might be wondering, Mighty does not have the damage. The only Tracer seems to be Tracer and Artanis seems to be the only one. The two double tanks and holding on to that thought that just store crosses away. And to continue on, Nubarak does not do too much damage. It is, as you mentioned, just to soak up the damage from Li Ming. Actually, also just great catch from Nitrogen though.
Jungha just pops the shield down though. This doesn't end up being too significant. It does buy time The amateur opponent being missing for this, though, is noticeably painful for Mighty. It's going to be a win for them in terms of the Immortal Health so far, as they were in position first with that swap. Had the late rotation down from Jung-Ah. Now we're going to be at about even. A 2K lead in Immortal Health for Mighty.
Yep, Mighty will need to wait for that Archon potential damage later on.
It's tougher for L5 to kind of dive onto this one. They're just using Nachogen to poke. There's no way they win this fight, but they're going to try to take some kills with them. But unfortunately, I just don't see this happening. Jung-Ah's very low on mana. Santa's going to go for the swap. Perfect swap here on the Nachogen. And they should be able to retreat. Do get the kill there. 1-for-1 for Anub and Hammer. Nasong gets the shield from Magi and will escape. So this is going to be a 1 Immortal for Mighty. They're going to take a pretty significant lead from this. This all came down to that swap from Sands in the top lane that forced a slower rotation. L5, like I said, they want to be operating from ahead on the Immortal phases. They want to take the lead and then just force the aggressive dive engage while they poke safely with Li Ming and Sergeant Hammer. Didn't happen that way, though.
Yep, and with that lead, Mighty having that Immortal on top, L5 just has to defend. It's not the strongest one, as you have Sergeant Hammer and Li Ming poking down on one target. There goes the first Immortal, already gone. But Mighty's taking the lead against L5 already, which is a good news.
That indeed is a good news. Mighty's going to steal this cap, because they don't want to push too far with that Immortal. Just going to take the neutral cap, rotate away, as Nachogen is actually up here in the top lane, which is a scary opposition against Sands' so far solid swapping Artanis. So this call position is working so far for Mighty, but I feel like it's more about the Artanis than it is about the Tracer at this moment in time. Ooh, STE taking a lot of damage. Nachogen looking to chunk him down. Good prediction here by Jung-Ah, but Magi is here for the shield. One more auto attack from Hammer would have done it. This boy is being super aggressive. Did not actually go into the quest for fanning out with his Q, so those Qs not going to matter as much. His boops.
Also, Muradin going into the Q build, not the most common one, but needs to get those stacks to do more damage. Maybe this one is the one to go with the piercing talent.
I suppose it's theoretically possible, however unlikely, and I like how Mighty is playing this. You know, they're gonna see this top lane pressure. They can't really do too much about it. They take the cap instead, which is gonna time out with the Immortals. They only lost a wall for this. They're already ahead in structures.
Oh man, and Tracer going untouchable at 4. That's a big risk.
Yes.
I know L5 does not have the most CCs. I'm guessing that's what Mighty thought on their heads, and maybe Tracer can be alive for the entire game. Not likely, but that's a big risk.
Hey, he did go Pierce at 7 too, by the way, so he's really going down that route, looking to hit Tracer no matter what. So SDE gonna be a lot riskier than otherwise noted with that untouchable. And this is gonna be a really important fight here. L5 just wants to get a positive exchange so that they can just sit back and poke. But it's already actually defensively there engage here onto the red side Immortal. Burrow does come in here. And they are going to back away. Oh, he's going to see the swap here on the Nachogen. The swaps have been really good.
Not the biggest swap, as
yeah, they can't follow it up.
Yeah, Li Ming is still down there, just catching up, and Tracer actually does get some damage onto Li Ming as Li Ming just joins the fight.
Pulse Bomb is available. That minefield cleared so quickly with Tracer's auto attacks. L5 needs something here in order to poke, because it's going to be defensive Immortals here. They are going to get a lot of chunk damage onto Sands, actually forcing his shield out early.
They're retreating for a second because they were missing a Tastar from the battlefield for some time. Like the movements of both teams here, they are moving fairly wisely along with their teammates.
Okay, L5 now going to start putting some direct damage onto this Immortal. They're in position here. They can kind of siege up and poke. The big risk is always the Anubarak, though. You know, if you try to siege up in this position, you get caught. Jung-Ah does block this shift, so he's actually going to take it himself. Sand's going to get caught as a result.
Sand does get Burrow, does not catch anyone, but Joker is the one that should be marking onto
There's a pulse bomb and a Noblesse.
Not enough damage to actually get a kill.
Okay, so target, targeting here for Mighty a little bit off, but still they end up, controlling this zone. Very, very defensive positioning for these Immortals. Again, on both having on the defensive sides means that it's hard to actually commit. L5 is going to take this opportunity, though, with the trade they just took. Nitrogen can do damage without mana, even. He's going to sit back here and hit this Immortal. And the swap goes on. L5 with the comp that, is much better at just chunking it down. Mighty has to force it with the, having Artanis on top of it, having the Tracer come in. So naturally in this neutral game, L5 will eventually win a slow and long drawn-out fight. Jungha actually going to like this swap. It actually puts him in good position to help lock Sands out. Noblesse will have to jump back, though, escaping rooting. And this, again, is going to go back to a neutral game that theoretically L5 should be able to win with their poke. You can see the positioning of Nitrogen is already working on the Immortal with Sergeant Hammer right now.
Yeah, this isn't the matchup that Joker actually wants to have. He wants to go right next to Li Ming and harass, even try to get a kill. But against Sergeant Hammer, Anubara can't do too much. Instead, where he can cancel out all that spell damage. Sands has been catching good targets, but there isn't too much CCs to actually focus down and connect. And even if it connects, the damage, it's going to lag even with the pulse bomb from Tracer.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's a little bit frustrating for the Artanis pick here, is just not a big blow up. Sometimes when you have the Artanis and you have a strong mage, you can kill your target instantly, or you have a second big CC lockdown. The roots have not been with the swaps, and they haven't been used with pulse bombs in conjunction. There is a pulse bomb available right now, so SDE is going to have to react when the swaps come out with the pulse bomb. And every kill is so important when you commit to the untouchable at level 4.
Haymaker coming out from Muradin. Let's see. All Q and a Haymaker coming out from Noblesse. Wow, I'm liking this choice here. He wants to get one target off, just like Sands. When there's a swap, he can actually have Artanis go even more further, and getting a kill off on that Artanis.
Ooh, Nitrogen gets swapped here again, though. No pulse bomb follow-up. So that's unfortunate. Could have perhaps gotten the kill there. But, yeah, let's see how this Haymaker works. If they can hit SDE into the fray, and he doesn't have recall, I mean, that's a dead Tracer. Otherwise, they can bully Artanis a little bit, too, when he's coming up and looking for those swaps. This is going to be an aggressive attempt to steal here by Noblesse using that Haymaker. Unfortunately, though, it's not enough. Big silence comes down. It's going to be the double. No cleanse, so that is a good trade for Mighty. Overextension by L5 there.
Yep, way too over, and Haymaker was not the best choice there, as we saw, but it was worth to use it, and Joker dives right in, try to catch on the Sergeant Hammer, even sank used just for protection. And they want to engage here. Nasa gets blown up. There's the reset for Li Ming, another target down.
Okay, so definitely not the cleanest game we've ever seen.
From L5 especially. Yeah,
from L5 especially. But that was a really nice turnaround. Important that SDE survives, obviously, with his untouchable he's been building. So did get 2 more stacks for those 2 kills earlier. And we're just going to see the trade-off of Shaman camps, red and blue side both being taken right before the Immortals phase in here. 25 seconds. And it's a fairly even game. L5 having the slight EXP lead. See how the Immortals spawn here.
Noblesse, he felt it last time. That Haymaker, with Haymaker, he has to be careful a little bit more. He couldn't really draw toss, getting silence from the Twilight Dream. He will put himself in a safer position from now on. I hope so.
Phase Prism misses there. And Jungha is really committing, but he is going to get caught. Does avoid the root. Nice juke there, but he's dead 100%.
Yep, SD is locked on target.
Now, the interesting thing about this, oh, even the B-step. The interesting thing about this, and I don't think SD should B-step just yet, is that they win the first phase, completely. And there's almost an untouched Immortal on the side of L5. If they can avoid more kills here, this ends up being okay. He does use that Haymaker to knock Joker away. And even down Tyrael, they can try to move in and poke. They have the poke advantage. Only a Nubarok to block right now. And 3 more seconds until Tyrael comes back up. So this was, I think, intentional, actually. The more I look at it, I think John wanted that rotation up, wanted L5 to win the first part, because if they win the first part with all their poke, they almost certainly win the second. Santa's trying to change that little by little with his amateur opponent here. But now Tyrael's back, and they're just going to poke this down. That's the game plan for L5. Joker very low. Does get away here. Nasong has to use a defensive Twilight Dream. Doesn't save him, though. Tyrael even dropping the Sank as Sands comes back in here. He's going to go down. More resets for SC. Looking for the triple. He gets it. SDE critically does survive. But this is the level of play of L5. This is the macro-based style of, if you don't kill me, I'm going to kill your keep. I have the Shaman cap. If you do kill me, you commit too many resources, we're going to win the Immortal fight. They only lost Tyrael. The Haymaker was good on Noble S to make sure that he didn't go down there. And this is actually really cool. You don't really see moves like this. He delayed so much. He Aldruin's over the wall, so he could actually just buy more time moving towards the blue side of the map. L5 kills the fort before the Immortal even takes shield damage. And they're trying to push this one all the way.
Yeah, they want to push all the way after getting a fort. They want to make this Immortal down to the second wall if possible to hurt somewhat of the HP of the keep. Something I would like to point out, Swoy actually, with the boop, canceled that Twilight Dream, which could have got Noble S taken down before the last team fight. So props to Swoy there. And Artanis, wow, just away from the team.
Dead. It's another reset here for SC, not that he needs it. This is going to be a keep. It could be the game if they get another pick here. Death timer is long enough to where this is a realistic possibility.
They did hit 16, but not too much HP on this Immortal left.
Yeah. Noble S does have Haymaker in 15 seconds. That's going to be the key. They cannot lose anybody right now. Joker has to pop his Locusts. He does survive. And Tastar's already used Archon. I think L5 wants to try to force this here. They have Lucio just healing without even using mana. Just healing everybody up really quick. Doesn't have Sound Barrier critically, though. So you see the kill here onto Malfurion. Sanctification is popped. That's the pick they were looking for. Sands, after respawning here, just trying to 1v5 the team, killed immediately. SC with a Calamity right onto his face. And I believe that will actually seal the deal. They get the kill onto Tastar as well, which gives SC one more reset. And this just looks to be an outclassing for L5. They definitely had some weak moments in this game. It was not their cleanest game of all time. But they are going to win it here. Noble S, not even going to die there at the end. Spares his KDA. It's a 10-1. And a, textbook Li Ming versus Tracer game there for L5.